How's it going, everyone? ND Sean 45 coming at you. I am now back home after being down south for a little over a week. It kind of sucks, but all good things have to eventually come to an end. But at the same time, though, it does feel good coming home. I can't deny that. But as you guys have heard me say nonstop over the last several videos that I've done, which hands down that was the most amount of videos I've ever done in such a short period of time. I think between Magnum and Big Vol Daddy, I think we made like 12 or 13 videos total, and that was in like 5 or 6 days. So that's a lot for me. But it was awesome to bring them to you guys. They were fun to make, and it really was a labor of love. It was a lot of fun. But also, regardless of how many times I've said it, I can't say it enough. Special thanks to Big Vol Daddy for being my host down in Tennessee, and to Magnum and his family for being my hosts down in Georgia. You guys gave me a place to stay for 5 days, and I will be forever grateful to the both of you for doing what you did for me. I can't say it enough, and I'm just very thankful, and I want you guys to know that. But also, I want to give a special thanks to my friend Andrew, who he has nothing to do with YouTube, has no association with it whatsoever, but I met him on this trip, and had a great conversation the night that we hung out, and Andrew, it was awesome to meet you as well, and it's great that I can officially call you a friend now. So yeah, thank you to you three, and to everybody else that I met on this trip who was really awesome. Not a bad experience whatsoever on this trip. I mean, of course, it sucks that my team took the loss, but the friendships that I made and meeting longtime friends in person for the first time, that's more special than a football game, hands down. So thank you to everybody who I met on this trip. You guys were awesome. Southern hospitality, it's not a stereotype, it's a fact. But with that said, it's time to get back to business. Now, of course, this past weekend, the Irish took a tough loss down in Georgia. Had a chance to win it at the end, but couldn't get it done. But these are the times where you have to have a short memory. So we turn the page on this one and look forward to the next chapter. Focus on that. Now, I'm really not gonna try to make any early assumptions here, predictions, whatever. But even with one loss, our playoff chances aren't looking very good. And I've said this to you guys many times in videos in the past. For the Irish to have a shot at the playoffs with one loss, I mean, for starters, it's not very likely. But for it to happen, it's one of two things: either the playoffs expand to 6 or 8 teams, or a lot of crazy stuff happens. And right now, we're in the position of the crazy stuff happening. So the latter. We could go 11-1. And our only loss being to a top 5 team by 1 score. I mean, it's possible, but it's going to be tough. We're going to need a lot of help. And we have to do our part as well and not lose. But no, 2 losses, we are definitely out for sure. But right now, there's a thin sliver of hope. But just being honest, I'm not going to get my hopes up. But if we can still win out and get a chance at a major bowl game and win it, that's a positive as well. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just telling you my early thoughts right now. But this week, this is all we need to be focusing on: the Virginia Cavaliers. Now, Virginia, they're led by head coach Bronco Mendenhall. He took over this program 4 years ago, and we actually played the Cavaliers in Bronco Mendenhall's first season back in 2015. He's done a pretty solid job building this team up. And even when we played them back in 2015, I underestimated them. I really did. That team is a lot tougher than what I gave them credit for back then, and that's the same case this year. It took us a last-second score with 20 seconds to go to beat them in 2015. But of course, things are different. They're a better team, but we're a better team as well, despite what some people on here in the media might think. But the Cavaliers, they are led by quarterback Bryce Perkins, and from what I've seen of this kid, dual threat quarterback. He's had some pretty good success passing the ball Of course, running as well. I think he's the team's leading rusher. But one flaw of his is he's very interception prone from what I've noticed by looking at the numbers. So that's what this Irish defense is going to have to do, is shut him down, at the very least contain him. And honestly, I could see this game turning out kind of like the Virginia game. We might struggle at first, but I expect our offense to rise to the occasion and give ourselves a comfortable lead and not look back. But definitely playing Louisville the first game of the season got us used to dual threat, and same with New Mexico, because they had a dual threat quarterback as well. But defensively, the Cavaliers have a very good front seven, an exceptionally good linebacking core. Their secondary, I think, is kind of suspect. But one of the key things that I look at too is even though the Cavaliers are 4-0, and I'm not taking anything away from them on that. And you guys have heard me say many times over the years, I hate it when people make such a big deal about margin of victory. I can't stand that. I just think, in my opinion, a win is a win. But of course, you can't help but look at certain things, which that part I understand. I mean, even myself, when we played teams like Ball State last year and Vanderbilt, and we're only winning by 8 points and 5 points respectively, sometimes you can't help but notice that, because it stands out, because you expected more. But the Cavaliers are coming off a 28-17 win over Old Dominion, and that was actually a game that they had to come back in. They were down by 10 at one point, and I'm not saying that they're a bad football team because of that, but when you're playing a team like Old Dominion, who hasn't been an FBS school for that long, you're expected to take care of business. Not saying that that's necessarily going to mean anything for this game on Saturday against us, but it can be a telltale sign of what you can expect from a team, And when you're kind of struggling a little bit to put away a team like Old Dominion, yeah, it can kind of give you a pretty good idea, but not always. So how I see this game going down, and I alluded to this earlier, I think it's kind of going to be like the Louisville game. It's going to take our defense some time to adjust to Bryce Perkins. Once he gets out of the pocket, they're gonna pick up some yards and put up some points on us. There's no question about that. I mean, that's just the nature of going up against dual threat quarterbacks. So it's gonna take our defense some time to adjust, but I think they will, because with what they were able to do against Georgia and step up and finish tackles and minimize the damage, I mean, nobody can deny that our defense did a pretty good job. And I know people still complain about the, quote, dives that we took, but from what I'm reading, those were actually legit. Our linebacker, Owusu, he was treated for a protocol concussion, so I think maybe what people were seeing when he was being pushed down by his teammates was like, hey, if you're hurt, get down. If something's wrong, get down. Same with, I forget who the other one was, but he had cramps. Those things do happen. And I'm not saying that there wasn't a dive in place. There very well could have been. But you can't always assume that it is a dive, because things, injuries like that, they can creep up on you just like that. But I digress. So what I think is going to happen is that Cavalier offense is going to give us some fits, but our defense will adjust. Our offense, we need to get an established running game. We failed to do that at Georgia. We have to get something going. I mean, I know it sucks not having Jafar Armstrong in there, but Tony Jones, he has to step up. I don't know if we're for sure going to have Jameer Smith back yet or not, but regardless, there needs to be some trust in guys like Kieran Williams and Sebo Flemister, Avery Davis. I mean, look, I get it, because Magnum and I were even talking about this, and he made a good point. He's like, Sean, are you going to put in young unproven guys in there? And that's true, but they got to start somewhere, and I think this is a game where they can do that. So it has to be done. We gotta get some kind of a running game. We can't just rely on Ian Book to be our lead rusher. And Tony Jones has to have a better performance than just 21 yards on, I don't know how many carries it was, but it wasn't good. So we gotta find a running game. Gotta get that going. Just clean up the mistakes, no turnovers. The ball, if the ball is in your hands, hold on to it. So yeah, based on all that, I see the Irish winning this game by the final score of, I'll say Louisville 35-17. Notre Dame 35, Cavaliers 17. We get a win over a top 25 opponent and get back on track. So yeah, guys, that's really all I have for you. Nothing much out of the ordinary. Again, thank you to all my friends down south. And with that said, everyone, this is ND Sean 45 signing off. God bless. Go Irish. Beat Cavaliers.